Well, good morning. Okay, let's see what's happening here. Again, I'm messing with this. Uh, I'm not seeing, unfortunately. Um, Bear with me for just a minute. For some reason, I'm not seeing my. Can you hear me? Let me know if you. I'm not seeing my overlays. I can't seem. I don't see my comment section. I'm not getting it. I don't get my comments. The entire comment block is gone. Oh, this is a terrible way to start. Sorry about that. And well, it's just screwed. Should have. Oh, 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 oh. I think I have that fixed now. Just a moment. Okay, I think this is fixed. Let's see if it that comment section went up correctly. And there we go. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I did not, for some reason, I could not get the comments to come up. I apologize. Good morning. Welcome to our Philippine journey. I'm sorry for a little bit of the technical issues there to begin with. Um, there's just so much kind of going. I was messing around with a couple of different things because there's a couple of topics that I think are really interesting to cover this morning. So, good morning, Dean. Good morning, Scott. I certainly appreciate you guys dropping in, and for the rest of you that are watching, I certainly appreciate that. So does Arlene, even though she's asleep. Uh, she's not an early riser. Let's just put it at that. I thought it would be interesting to talk about a lot of what's been. Hello, Smooth. Hey, what's going on, Smooth? I thought it would be interesting to uh, walk up. I wasn't even there, Scott. Scott saying I didn't want to walk up the hill and ride the banana boat. The girl, that was an all girls trip. So that was just the girls. It was my wife, Lay, the wife of another one of our friends, and then Cecile, who is the partner of another one of our friends. And in addition to that, it was Cherry Ann, who is the girlfriend of James, who actually there's going to be an interview posting in about an hour that I did with James. And then one of Cherry Ann's girlfriend's friends, Jocelyn. And so that was an all girls trip. That's all it was. Wow, 12 people. I don't know. That's a new record this early in the morning. Not our channel is so small, uh, but please, if you find this informative, subscribe and hit that thumbs up. I certainly appreciate it. Or Lynn appreciates it. Anyways, that was an all girls trip. And with that being said, we weren't even there. That was like, hey, the girls wanted to get out for the weekend. The guys didn't want to go anywhere. And for me, camping is, kind of like my idea of camping. It'd be like a Holiday Inn Express. It's certainly at my age not going to be in a air conditioned tent um, on the beach. That's just all there is to it. So the girls had a good time. They made it there safe and easy. They made it back safe and easy. Um, they went through. They had a great time, and for many of them, it's some of their first time out doing something like that. So it was um, it was good for them. It really and truly was. Um, but one of the things that I thought would be interesting is talking a little bit about what's been in the news about foreigners. And I know that all the big channels have already done videos on it. And I was thinking of doing a video on it, but I wanted to wait until there was more information. Um, because some parts of that just don't make sense. Some parts do not make sense. Now, when we're talking about, first off, I'm hoping that everybody is aware of Mr. Poggy German. And Mr. Poggy German is the guy in Alabang that just recently got arrested for having a intimate relationship with an underage girl. And his video is YouTube took his video down. Right, he had a video um, where he titles it as a 17-year-old girl, but uh, she says she's 18 on the video. In addition to that, the entire video is scripted. I mean, if you look at the video, this guy is this girl's actually wearing a Rode microphone. So I mean, she knows exactly what's going on. And then the final thing with that, obviously, was they checked into a Sogo Hotel, and whether you are or are not aware of it, it is against the law in the Philippines for a minor to be in the guardianship and alone with a non-family member that isn't over the age that is over the age of 18. So in other words, it's okay with the older brother, older sister, uncle even, as long as they're a family member. However, it is not legal for them to be there with a um, stranger. And they made this girl out to be I guess prostitute's the best word, streetwalker, freelancer. She claims another thing. I'm just gonna leave it be and just say I'm not gonna say much about it, only because that just doesn't make sense. Some of it doesn't make sense. So then yesterday, a little closer to home, there was a news article in Yahoo Philippines about a guy that is waiting. He's like stalking, not even stalking. They've used the term stalking. I would use that term a little bit more loosely, only because um, I would use it only a bit more loosely because He's not following them to their homes or anything like that, although he is walking down the street filming them. But anyways, there was an article about a guy actually here in Angeles City, actually a guy I've seen, and actually a guy that has had an impact on us. You know, I don't get part of it. Part of this is the fact that if you lived in the US or in London or in the UK or in the EU, it is not uncommon at all for girls to go out. It's not uncommon at all for girls to have a girls' night out, even married. They do that. They can't stand us sometimes. Sometimes us, we as husbands are, it's worth it to try and get away for a while from your husband, apparently. But the point that I'm making is that the if you live in the Philippines, one of the things that you need to recognize is the Filipinos are brought up in a manner of public transportation. And public transportation costs money. And if they can save, if they can save 20, 30 pesos on a trike, if they can save 10, 12, 15 pesos on a jeepney, they walk. That's what they do. So there's a lot of young ladies walking because it saves them money. So to the anger that's imposed here by others is simply the fact that this guy is or used to. I looked at a couple of his videos recently. He used to label everyone as a freelancer, and that's just not the case. And it impacts people because personally, we've had friends whose wives were coming back from the salons, all right, and this guy's videoed them, and he's labeled them as freelancers. And these are married women, friends of our friends that are married. We have a very large number of married expat Filipina couples. I mean, Angeles is famous for a sexpat destination, but that's not what it's all about. Okay? Don't get me wrong, we've got plenty of friends that I'm sure by even the loosest definition would fall into that. But yeah, Lee is right. Said it was scripted and the girl was in on the joke. Yeah, she knew about it. She absolutely knew about it. And how did she get past the Sogo issue? They're supposed to get ID of everybody that checks in, irregardless of age. They're supposed to have ID. So there's a little bit more to that story yet to be seen, I think. So that's why I didn't do a video on him, and I haven't done a video on Expat King because simply, as much as I'd like to, the guy is right here in town, and we try and stay out of drama, and we're not in his circle of influence. We're not on Walking Street all the time. Now, it is strange. We are up and down Fields Avenue, where he frequently goes. But lately, he hasn't been seen on Fields Avenue either, because people are getting pretty irritated at the guy. The word is out. But that's just it. So if you have any questions about that, we're happy to discuss it. Any other questions about the Philippines, about retiring here, about living here, about adjusting to it, I think it's good that people try and get as much information and be as informed as possible, and look at multiple sources to be informed. And the reason behind that is bloggers, myself included, my wife included, we make mistakes, or our opinion is drastically different than other people's opinions. And um, our circumstances are a little different than most people. But that's why you have multiple resources to take a look at. We've been a little bit busy this past week. We're trying to plan. Oh, Scott, talking about Dumageddon, I'm assuming that Scott is talking about the three foreigners. Actually, it was four initially, although only three went into a guy's house and went to attack him because there was a gun that was recovered. And there was a fight that ensued. And this one guy that owned the house or rented the house, he beat the living crap out of them. And you know what? I'll be honest, Scott, there's enough people in Dumageddon that should be able to know more information, and whether they will share it or not. When it comes to Dumageddon, the only information that we get is what's really on the news. I only watch a couple of bloggers down there, Old Dog, Critter Hunter, and a couple of others. So I can't give you much information other than what's in the news about it. But I think that Lee will say the same thing again. You need to kind of wait and see what the end result is. You need more information. So I apologize, but that was, again, foreigners are getting a bad name. Foreigners are doing stupid shit. So Lee says, I was going to ask you about what is the draw of Angeles City for expats outside of Walking Street and the Ladies. Well, actually, Lee, it's kind of it's actually a lot. So let's talk about it. First off, Western style living is easy here. Okay, and what I mean by that is that I have, you can get a residence, whether it's a rental or a house, that's clean, easy to maintain, easy to keep clean, air conditioning in reasonable amounts, hot water. I mean, you'd be surprised how many places here do not have hot water. Not even here, but elsewhere. All right, but let's take a look at the real reasons that expats come here besides Walking Street. What are the other things that that interest them? Well, first off, we have Clark Airport, and Clark is a smaller airport, but it's a huge physical space. I mean, at one time, Clark was a huge Air Force base. They have a huge runway. They can take stuff as big as a 747. At one time, there were Korean Air 747s flying into Clark years ago. They have finished their new terminal. And eventually, one of these days, the express railway system that runs from Angeles and not Angeles, but runs from Manila through Angeles and further on, is going to have a terminal at Clark. So that's the first one. You can hop, skip, and a jump to all the major local cities. No problem at all. You don't have to fight your way into Manila to NAIA, although it's much better with the Skyway now. You don't have to fight the crowds at NAIA. And although you're not going to get the level of flight choices and things that you will get there, it makes a very nice thing when you can live anywhere in Angeles City and you can be at the doors to the terminal in 15 to 20 minutes, even in rush hour traffic. So it's also an international airport, which really is nice. You're not having to, make for us to catch an international flight, for Arlen and I to catch an international flight, we're leaving our house 5 hours prior to that departure. Here, we leave our house 2 hours prior to the departure. And quite frankly, shit, 90 minutes is about what it really takes because you don't really have to sit back in it. So there's the airport. There's 3 hospitals. It's not a St. Luke's hospital. I wouldn't have a coronary bypass at any one of those 3. But for 85 to 90% of what ails you, you have access to MRI, you have access to ultrasound, you have access to labs, you have access to CAT scan, you actually have access to multi-slice CAT scan. You have access to good technology, and you have access to basic healthcare that's very good. In other words, if I was going to have a stent put into my coronary arteries, yeah, if I'd let my cardiologist do it here, that wouldn't bother me at all. So it has good hospitals. There is for veterans. There's an what do they call it? APO box. So in other words, they're a 5-minute trike ride to a spot where they can drop a letter or receive mail from the United States on about a 5-day situation. In fact, I have a friend that has an APO box. The APO box is I mail a letter here on Monday, and it's wherever its destination is in the U.S. within 7 days, generally within 5. I can't receive mail there, but, well, actually I can, but my buddy has to drop it. I has to go pick it up. But that's a big issue is correspondence from the U.S. Getting different things. It also allows you to receive things that you wouldn't normally want shipped through the Philippine mail. You can't do a package, but you can do envelopes. So if you wanted, your bank statements or you wanted something, new credit card from your bank or whatever, they'll ship to APO boxes, where some of them won't ship new credit cards to the Philippines. So you have the APO box. You have a huge expat community, a big community of expats, not just Americans. In other words, there's a Russian community, there's a UK community, there's a EU community, there's an Australian community. And that is a big deal also. The reason that I say that is because you don't speak, odds are, you don't speak fluent Tagalog or Bisaya. So holding a conversation about politics, holding a conversation about finances, holding a conversation about many, many different things other than how much did you spend at the bar last night is there. So that ability to interact with other people who speak fluent English and who may have an interest in an area that you have an interest in, that makes a big difference. I mean, really and truly it does. You know, you can't live in a vacuum. You just can't do it. You've got to be able to um, be outside that vacuum, and if your only outlet for being outside that vacuum is is going to be bars and bar girls, well then you're going to drink yourself to death. Yeah, Lee, you know we tell people, and we've said this before. Angeles may not be your cup of tea. It's not the province. It does have traffic, you know, during rush hour along 4 different streets. Okay? But it's worth looking at. It's one of those places you should explore. For instance, living here, I've seen some places and some rents. Now we don't rent; we own our place here, and we own our home in Mindanao. But I've seen rents for the same quality of craftsmanship, for the same quality of amenities, for the same quality. They're very similar to places like Dumaguete. They really and truly are. You know, we just recently posted a video not long ago showing the prices at Candy. So if you include in that price that you have 24-hour security, not roaming security, but actually 24-hour security at the door, and you have a doorman 24 hours to relieve that security guy. We have underground parking, although limited. Okay. We have access to a gym, which is really not a bad gym at all. We have access to 5 pools. We have access to 3 restaurants. And we get that, you know, the rentals here, you can rent, I think it was like 30 some odd thousand pesos a month for a nice studio. Now you're going to plus electric, and if you're renting by the month, you're going to pay a service fee. Okay, that's going to include the cleaning, and you know, I mean, we know a guy that lives here, and he literally has cleaning every day. It's just like he lives in a hotel. Okay, he has housekeeping in his unit every day. And that's free. You want to tip them a little bit, give them 100 pesos, great, they'd love it. So, I mean, the pricing is not that bad. I mean, people need to recognize that the cost of living in the Philippines, good morning, James. The cost of living is going up here. But, I mean, that doesn't mean it's unaffordable. Good morning, James. Nice of you to drop in. Yeah, you know, Angeles is a great place to look. I mean, I encourage you to look at everywhere. Look at Angeles. If you don't like the heat, look at Baguio. If you need to be at the beach, look at Cebu and look at Dumaguete. I would pick Dumaguete over Cebu only because there's a larger expat population. But I'm interested to see what's going to happen in Dumaguete over the next 12 to 18, 24 months. I think it's going to get a little crowded there. I really and truly do. Because industry follows the money, and the money in that area is Dumaguete. That's where foreigners are spending money. So take a look around. The one place that I would like to look at, that I have not looked at, that we've never been to, and it's on our near soon as possible list of a week's vacation, is going to be Iloilo. I would really like to see Iloilo. I think that that is a diamond in the rough. Everything I see about it so far seems that it is a beautiful location with respect to retiree perks. I don't mean visually beautiful, although apparently it's not so bad there either. I mean, people tend to forget there's a lot of money in the Philippines, and it's not just expats, it's not just foreigners. Okay. You know, to give you an idea, to really show you how much money there is. In Manila, there is a. All right, James, I'm going to get right to that. Let me just finish this real quick. In Manila, there's a section of private housing developments called Bel Air. These are large developments and mostly older homes because they're long established. You can't buy a home in Bel Air for under $1.3 million US dollars, not pesos. I have seen homes for sale in Bel Air for $20 million US. So there's money here, and it's not all just expats. It's something that everybody should keep an eye on. So, James says, what's your thoughts on China travel to the Phil's opening? You know what? I am, what's going on here? I don't know if you can hear me, but it looks like my video has stopped. What's going on? Well, let's try this. Okay, did that start again? I guess. I had to switch. I had to switch cameras. I think my GoPro. I use my GoPro as a webcam, and I think it overheated. Well, let's try that. And switch to the GoPro. No, well, we'll move it back to the other camera. It's not as pretty a picture, but gonna have to deal with it. Okay, so let's do this here for a minute. So, what's my thoughts on China travel to the Philippines opening? Well, I have a lot of thoughts about that. I am concerned. I'm very, very concerned, and I don't think that. I really don't think that the Philippines is going to stop the Chinese from coming. I'm hoping they impose some sort of quarantine rules or testing that is going to cover the new variant. But the Chinese have a lot of expendable income. But I think the Chinese may have their own problems right now. Years ago, the Chinese were the driving economic, foreign driving, U.S. and Chinese were the foreign economic driving force in the Philippines. And that has changed when it comes to a tourism point. That has changed. The Koreans, they're loaded. and they are driving it, and it is it's a big deal. There are far more. You see very few Chinese tourists here right now, obviously, uh, but I would tell you that up and down the tourist areas, the UK, um, the UK Americans and everybody else, uh, they're only, you know, that I would say the Koreans represent at least 30% of the people that we see here. So James says 50% of the travelers tested positive flights to Italy. That's a huge number. I haven't seen that, and that would make my thoughts on China. Now, James, was that 50% of Chinese travelers, or was that 50% of all travelers, all foreign tourists or flights in, all foreigners in? That's a big number. That's a really, really big number. I wasn't aware of that. That's for sure. No, not at all. I think eventually everywhere in the world is going to move to the herd immunity issues. And I think it's going to hurt many countries. I hope that we have the healthcare ability, facilities, and space and people to handle the country moving into um, a herd immunity issue. And what I mean by that is if indeed the scientific data backs up the point that says the vaccines are not nearly as effective, you're going to have to go to herd immunity. Um, that's going to take a lot of healthcare facilities because these people are going to have to be taken care of while they are sick and are building up their own personal immunity. And that's going to be difficult because the Philippines is not set up for that. So Lee says that James is right, Chinese travelers, and then James confirms that. So I mean, that's a huge number. What did Italy do? Did Italy say, "Hey, this is too much," or did Italy say, "Yeah, we can just keep on going and doing this"? That's a that's a big number. It really and truly is. Um, Here, the hospitals are not overwhelmed currently. At one time during the height of pandemic, they were just like every hospital in most every country was. But here, the hospitals have plenty of room. Um, but I think that's just a huge number. That's a scary number, to be honest with you. I think it's really scary. Um, you know, that's a lot. I can't even think of any other way. So, um, going down the list of stuff to do. So we're currently planning a trip with friends to Thailand, and those dates keep getting moved. And the girls are actually planning another solo girl trip to either Bataan or Batangas, something like that. I don't know. I don't keep my uh, uh, sometimes the girls can be deciding different things because a lot of them are from different areas near there. And so they may want to say, hey, we can roll this trip in and stay with my cousin for a couple days or do this and that. So they're planning that trip. Um, I have a series of interviews lined up with different expats and actually different young ladies that live here that I'm currently working on. So we've got that going on. And we just continue to grow a little bit at a time. So, I mean, If you like the channel, subscribe. If you don't, we're not going to change much. We're not chasing that dollar. Okay, take care, Lee. Have a great day. Um, so we just simply are what we are. I am gonna confess. So Arlen and I, we haven't upgraded our phones in years, and so Arlen, what is that? Oh, I have to give this one a call. Um, I have a call from the U.S. that I have to pay attention to. I'm so sorry, but unfortunately, because of the time differences, I need to deal with it. I'll talk to you guys later. You guys have a great day. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for watching. And I hope you'll subscribe and give us a shot. Take care.